For anyone who was watching football in the 2000s, Valencia was among the top Spanish clubs back then. Valencia had won La Liga twice in the early 2000s and, of course, had played two back to back Champions League finals. Valencia was among a force to reckon with in terms of the Spanish football and, of course, among a serious contender for La Liga for few seasons, alongside, of course, Real Madrid and Barcelona. But currently, Valencia, if you're talking about, are lingering around the relegation zone of La Liga, and the past 2 to 3 seasons haven't been nice as well. Valencia has been struggling pretty badly in terms of its finances, recruitment, and of course the whole culture. What has happened to Valencia and what can be the future and everything in between. Let's just talk about Valencia club football and of course their tragic downfall. Let's just start our story from 1980s. And before diving into the chaos of 1980s, it is important to remember just how big or influential Valencia once were. Founded in 1990, the club grew into Spain's giant, winning league titles in 1940s and early 1970s, while Mestalla became a feared fortress for visiting teams, with stars like Mario Kempes leading them to 1979 to 1980 European Cup Winners' Cup. Valencia were firmly established as a competitive name in both European and Spanish football. The 1980s were a nightmare decade for Valencia. The joy of the European success quickly faded as debts of the stadium, works, and poor management dragged the club down. In 1986, after 55 straight seasons in top flight, Valencia were relegated to Segunda Division for the first time in their history, the lowest point the Mestalla had ever seen at that point. But Valencia did not stay there for long. New leadership and the return of Alfredo Di Stefano to the bench brought order, and the team immediately bounced back to La Liga at the first attempt. By the late 1980s, the signing of Luboslav Penev helped Valencia finish near the top again, quietly rebuilding the foundation for a future. And then came 1997. When Claudio Ranieri arrived at Mestalla, Valencia were a club full of potential but lacking direction. They had exciting individuals but little coherence, and European ambitions often collapsed under pressure. Ranieri's greatest contribution was not a single trophy, but the structure he imposed. He gave Valencia a clear tactical identity built on defensive discipline, physical intensity, and devastating counter-attacks that punished opposition who underestimated them. Under his guidance, Mestalla rediscovered its voice. The infamous 6-0 demolition of Real Madrid in 1999 was not just a result, it was a statement that Valencia could humiliate the Spain's elite on their day. In cup competitions, Ranieri's team thrived on chaos and emotion, producing unforgettable nights as the 4-3 Copa del Rey thriller against Barcelona, where Claudio Lopez's pace and Mendieta's intelligence exposed even the best defenses. The crowning moment came in 1999 Copa del Rey final against Atletico Madrid in Sevilla. Valencia's victory secured their sixth domestic cup, but more importantly, it opened the gates for the Champions League. After decades of flirting with relevance, Valencia were finally stepping back onto Europe's grandest stage. After Ranieri, we had the entry of Hector Cúper, and something which would be written in history for some things which nobody would have expected. Hector Cúper inherited Ranieri's foundation and elevated them into something fiercer. His Valencia side became synonymous with organization and mental toughness and collective sacrifice. They were not glamorous, but they were relentless, grinding oppositions down with defensive solidity and striking decisively when chances appeared. The 1999 to 2000 Champions League run transformed Valencia's reputation across Europe. They eliminated established giants with authority, reaching an all-Spanish final against Real Madrid. But on the biggest night, experience and individual quality is what matters the most at several occasions, and same was in this case, as Real Madrid, with all their history and glory, ran out with 3-0 winners. But Valencia had announced themselves as a continental power. A year later, they returned, stronger and more determined. The 2001 final against Bayern Munich in Milan was a brutal test of nerves, ending 1-1 after extra time. Penalties decided Valencia's fate, and heartbreak followed. The image of goalkeeper Santiago Canizares and captain Gaisca Mendieta in tears encapsulated a club that has come within touching distance of European immortality twice and fallen just short. After this, we had the arrival of Rafael Benítez in 2001, with skepticism surrounding him. Replacing a coach who had led the club for 2 Champions League finals seemed almost impossible, yet Benitez redefined Valencia's ambition. He turned a cup-oriented team into a machine built for league consistency, tactical intelligence, and control. In the 102 season, Valencia produced one of the most defensively dominating campaigns in Spanish football history. They conceded just 27 goals and surged late in the season to win the La Liga, ending a 31-year title drought. It was a proof that Valencia could go toe-to-toe with Real Madrid and Barcelona over 38 matches and win. The 304 season cemented their place in Europeans' elite, with Vicente's explosive wing play, Mista's clinical finishing, and Roberto Ayala's marshalling the defense. Valencia conquered Spain again before adding the UEFA Cup in Gothenburg with a 2-0 win over Marseille. The league and the European double represented the pinnacle of modern Valencia, a perfect blend of tactical brilliance, unity, success, however, did not bring harmony. Benitez's relationship with the club's hierarchy deteriorated as disagreements over transfer intensified. His famous remark, "I asked for a sofa and they gave me a lamp," captured the frustration of a coach who felt unsupported at the height of Valencia's power. After his departure to Liverpool in 2004, the club attempted to recreate the past by bringing Ranieri at the club. The UEFA Super Cup victory over Porto initially suggested continuity, but beneath the surface, the cracks were already present and probably were widening. Performances became erratic, dressing room confidence dipped, and the sharp edge that defined Valencia's golden era rapidly dulled. The decline had begun. The years that followed were marked by instability and internal conflict. Valencia cycled through managers and sporting directors, each bringing their different philosophies that never really fully aligned. Quique Sanchez Flores restored some order and respectability, but the club no longer felt like a genuine contender. Power struggles behind the scene worsened the matters. Club legends like Emilio Carboni became entangled in politics, and when Ronald Koeman arrived, chaos reached its peak. Koeman's tenure was paradoxical. He delivered a Copa del Rey in 2008, yet alienated senior players and oversaw a catastrophic league run that dragged Valencia dangerously close to the relegation zone. Success and self-destruction coexisted during this time uneasily. Off the pitch, Valencia's problems were even more severe. Years of ambitious spending, combined with the global financial crisis during that time, left the club drowning in debt. The unfinished Nou Mestalla Stadium became a haunting symbol of overreach, a modern coliseum frozen in concrete and uncertainty. To survive, Valencia were forced to sell their greatest asset, David Villa, David Silva, and Juan Mata, departed in succession, each sale plugging financial holes while stripping the club of creativity and, of course, leadership. Despite this, Unai Emery performed near miracles, consistently guiding Valencia into Champions League qualification. But the reality was unavoidable. The club was shrinking year by year and season by season. Now we are slowly getting to the recent past, as now we are entering an era which Valencia fans thought with a ray of hope that this might be the rebuild which our club needed, but now has unfortunately turned into one of their worst nightmares. As Peter Lim's takeover in 2014 initially inspired some hope, a billionaire owner seemed too capable of stabilizing finances and completing Nou Mestalla. Instead, his leadership and ownership deepened the divisions. Sporting decisions became heavily influenced by super agents Jorge Mendes, and the appointment of Gary Neville, an inexperienced coach, proved disastrous. Valencia's form collapsed. Neville's recorded the worst win percentage of any Valencia manager in the league era. It was so bad that no one in the management of Manchester United even now thinks of Gary Neville when it comes to management. And the trust between the fans of Valencia and the ownership eroded rapidly. Even the moments of success, such as Champions League qualification and the 2019 Copa del Rey victory over Barcelona, felt hollow when Marcelino was abruptly sacked shortly after signaling that sporting merit was no longer the priority. From that moment, fans' opposition crystallized into open revolt. The departure of key players Parejo, Condobia, Rodrigo, Ferran Torres, often at questionable valuations, reinforced the belief that financial control mattered more than competitiveness. Supporters organized in masses under movements like Libertad VCF and Lim Go Home. Protests filled the streets, banners dominated Mestalla, and boycotts targeted club symbolism. The disconnect between the boardroom and the lost Che had never been this wider. All these actions, in the name of financial stability, only showed the neglect, and the lack of ambitions which the owner had alongside the field to fill one's personal pockets. Predictably, the decline on the pitch followed. Valencia transformed from European regulars into survival candidates. Youth players are thrust up into responsibility not as a part of a long term plan but out of necessity. Seasons became exercises in anxiety, the club hovering perilously close to the relegation zone. Memories of the 1986 drop has now resurfaced, and simply reaching 40 points has become a relief rather than an embarrassment. Talking about the recent seasons of Valencia, the season of 2022 to 2023 felt like a perfect picture of chaos. Gennaro Gattuso started the year promising attacking football, with veteran striker like Edinson Cavani arriving as a marquee name to lead a young, patched-together squad. Around him were loanies and hopefuls like Justin Kluivert and Samuel Lino, plus academy-raised talents like Yunus Musa and Hugo Gilmaron, asked to grow up fast in the middle of a crisis. But the results never matched the ideas. By January, Gattuso walked away, Foro briefly took over as interim, and then Ruben Baraja, a hero from Benítez era, stepped in with teams sliding between towards the bottom three. Baraja simplified everything: defend deeper, run harder, lean on Mestalla, and on moments from energetic forwards like Kluivert, Lino, and rising fullbacks Thierry Correa. Valencia finished 16th with 40 points, only safe on the final day, and the club that once fought for title have spent the whole year fighting to stay alive. Then came the season of 2023 to 2024. Ruben Baraja stayed and doubled down on youth. The wage bill had been cut again, but out of necessity came opportunity. Striker Hugo Duro, midfielder Javi Guerra, and deep line playmaker Pepe Lu became the spine of a new look Valencia. Duro hit double figures in league. Guerra's late runs and long range goals made him one of the LaLiga's breakout midfielders, and Pepe Lu offered calm on the ball and reliability from the penalty spot. Baraja's team still had limitations, but they were organized, intense, and much harder to beat, especially at Mestalla. Valencia finished 9th, not close to Europe, but a long way from the panic of the previous year. And for a moment, it felt like the club had at least found a competitive identity built around homegrown players instead of expensive imports. After this came the season of 24 to 25. The 24 to 25 campaign pushed that fragile structure to its limits again. Reports and tactical analysis from this period talk about the constant struggle. Compact, hardworking, but short on depth and star quality, Baraja had to squeeze every drop out of the small group, relying heavily on the same names: Duro up front, Guerra and Pepe Lu in midfield, captain Jose Gaya trying to lead from left back whenever fit. New faces and rotation options existed, but most were either very young or short-term signings who needed time to adapt. So the core players carries enormous responsibility each week. Once again, Valencia spent much of the years in the lower half, looking over their shoulders rather than up on the table. And every run of 2 or 3 bad results sparkled talk of another relegation fight. And now we are at the current season of 2025 to 2026 as of making this video, and the pattern had not really changed till now, only the names had. The squad list shows a name still built on more on value and academy than decent transfer, with Julian Agrizabala in goal, a back line led by Jose Gaya and young defenders like Cesar Tareja, and a midfield made up of Pepe Lu, Javi Guerra, Andre Almeida, and arrivals such as Baptiste Santamaria and Lucas Beltran. Up front, Hugo Duro remains one of the main sources of goal, now supported by wingers and forwards such as Arnaud Dajumo, Luis Rioja, and Diego Lopez, all trying to provide the spark that keeps Valencia in the division. Even with these additions, the league table shows Valencia sitting in the lower reaches, the form charts and the advanced stats still classing them closer to a relegation fight than to Europe. The squad is competitive and hardworking, but the margin of error is tiny. Every injury, every refereeing decision, every mischance can tell them towards another nerve-rending shredding and running, reinforcing the idea under this ownership. Valencia's default setting is survival mode, not glory. Valencia's story is a cautionary tale. It is a cautionary tale for a club who is looking forward for a quick succession or a quick glory for the sake of compromising the stability, and of course the case of negligence from recent owners and lack of ambition alongside pragmatic thinking. These are some of the case studies in footballing history, which unfortunately for the club with whom the things have happened, but it also gives a caution to other clubs that things can trickle down way quickly than anyone can ever imagine. This is a kind of story which a club like Atletico, which I support, and several other clubs who are looking forward to the future alongside the current stability would want things to change and would should be taking their next step carefully given how things have been for some of the unfortunate clubs like Valencia. So that is it for this video, man. I really appreciate for guys who have reached till now to the end of this video, and to all the Valencia fan out there who have watched this video. I never meant to make this video to make you feel bad or anything. I just meant this to tell or to talk about a club which has a rich history, which is an amazing club, often a beautiful city, but is struggling because of its bad, pathetic ownership, pathetic management. Something which should be improving for a historic club like Valencia, given the fact how much important it is for these clubs like Valencia to be competitive, not for the sake of their own sake, but also for the sake of Spanish football, as they represent more than being a football club. So that is it for this video. I hope you like this video, and do make sure to comment below what do you feel about Valencia and their struggle. And of course, do make sure to like this video and subscribe my channel for more content like these. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.